passionate about Cleveland sports?
He's going in! Touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
Swing it line! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
And we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Hello and welcome, Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jarid Watson, and this podcast is brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out, original Cleveland sports reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. Hey, the Browns are above 500 for the first time since the Civil War, Andy. Facts, since the Civil War.
Been a long time.
Since 1865-ish?
Yeah. Abraham Lincoln wasn't? No? Oh.
Actually, since 2014 with Brian Hoyer. Hoyer, the Destroyer. Who, yeah, everyone's favorite. Local boy, Brian Hoyer. I loved him, I'm not going to lie.
Michigan State grad, yes.
The Browns win 34-20 with running game leading the way. Duh. And 5 turnovers by the defense. Nope, I won't even say that. 5 turnovers by the Washington football team. That's what I'll say. Miles get -1. I'll say 4, and 1 was a Browns defense because Myles Garrett once again closing out the game with a strip sack. Beautiful. That was my favorite thing. It was like a cherry on top for everything in a game that felt closer than it looks on the scoreboard. Weird. It's like a flip-flop. The last game against Cincinnati felt like they were going to win the whole time. This one was sketchy, but we won by more points. At any rate, we're going to go ahead and relive that victory against the Washington football team. Almost WTF. WFT, WTF. Hey, the Tribe, they're going to play the Yankees in the playoffs starting Tuesday in Cleveland with Bieber versus Cole in game 1, and we'll preview the upcoming series with the Pinstripes. I, for one, love this matchup. Andy, I think, does too. And boy, it seems like people are going to be running away thinking that the Yankees are just going to end up winning this series with no problem. But there are.
Why are the Tribes even playing? Why are they even showing up?
Why even showing up? And you know what, though? I mean, does home field advantage matter in these situations? I will argue later that I think it does. Let's see here. What else? First, though. But first on debate week. I forgot about that. Debate week.
In Cleveland.
I know. My wife was asking, are we going to get tickets? I said, nah, I'm just going to say, no. There's no debate that the Browns are winners. Your turnover creating 2-1. 2-1.
Cleveland
Browns.
Feels so good. Hello, everybody. On a huge week for Cleveland, as my partner just said. Debate week tomorrow, starting off with the Tribe and Yanks. I am very, very excited about this series. For people who forget, a lot of history of these two teams, not just in 17, but in the 90s, several matchups. We finished Joe Torre's career. The Indians won in New York with Wedge. Remember that? They ended Joe Torre's career that night. That was the last ever playoff game, too, in Yankee Stadium. So a lot of history with the Tribe and Yankees, not just in the regular season, but in playoffs. So I'm excited for it. We'll get to that here in a second. I agree with my partner. Dimensions of a home park make a big difference. That's a big deal. They're playing in Jacobs Field, Progressive Field, whatever the fuck they call it now. Now, to the Browns. Was this perfect yesterday? No. Did the Browns win comfortably? Absolutely not. Was the running, was the analytics offense flowing like water at all times during the game? Absolutely not. Was this the 85 Bears defense on display, as somebody mentioned today? Nope. Did the Browns win comfortably? Yes, they did. I do believe a big part of it was the running game for sure. We talked about it. My partner did a great video on it. But the one thing I like about this team, run the ball, which will be the first topic here. But the one thing I want to get into before we talk about running the ball is I love the mantra. Nick Chubb, want to know this week. Mayfield, want to know this week. I'm hearing from Stefanski, want to know this week. This new mantra that I did not hear I've not heard this in a long time. I love it. I love the way people talk. I listen to the post-game press conferences. I like how this team is talking. And my new favorite line to lead off the running game for this team in this game, I love how Nick Chubb identifies these 0 and 2 yard gains as dirty runs that are important. And I think that's very cool. I think this team's adapted to this. We let it off on Saturday, and we're doing it again. I mean, running rules today. I mean, they ran almost 60% of the time in this game, Jared. I mean, running, and running again.
My brother and I sat there and just kept saying, don't stop. Even on a lot of those early 2-yard runs, you knew that you had to break down that Washington defensive line. And by the end of the game, you did. Chase Young was out with a groin or a hamstring injury. I can't remember which. And then it looked like towards the end of the game, they were losing another possible defensive end. So it was it definitely took its toll. The Browns offensive line held up they did. They held up. There were times where I will say that Baker held that ball way too long.
And he admitted that.
And that frustrated me. I'm sure it frustrated others. But you're right. Those 2-yard runs meant a lot to me. Ground and pound. Do not quit. Do not deviate. There was no reason to deviate. Now, they could have got a little spooked after having a terrible first drive and then turning around and giving up a touchdown to Washington on their first drive. They could have gotten a little spooked. They could have tried to force the ball. They didn't. Eventually, they got into a groove, especially on the run game. Baker was able to find Odell a couple of times. That was nice to see. Overall, though, that running game, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Best defensive, possibly the best defensive line in the league that we went up against today, or Sunday rather. And the Browns still, there was no stopping, period.
They ran the ball. What was nice is every time they got turnovers and it was on the plus 40, they said, let's not dick around. Let's just hand the ball off and get points and get out of here. Get points and get out of here. Get points and get out of here. And, Wills struggled a little bit this game, which is going to happen. By the way, to a rookie, we should be saying that more. So in fairness to him, he's had a very good start to this year.
Yeah.
Chubb and Hunt, it's Captain Obvious, but needs to be stated. When you run almost 60% in 2020 NFL football, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing stat. So it's not just visual or it's, something you're feeling. It's actually analytics saying this. They realize what they have to do and they're doing it. And it's great to see. They need to do that.
Well, when we jump back to talking about Wills, it was a couple of pre-snap penalties early, and they didn't happen again later on, right? That's at least I don't remember it happening again.
Yeah.
I thought he had 2 early.
Settle down.
That was fine. You could see it in his face. He was frustrated with himself. Cool. Got it. Understood. We can deal with that. So, keep running the ball. And you're right. Taking advantage of those turnovers to score points was huge for this team. Did they score 3 out of the 5 times that they got the turnover, I believe?
Yeah, 4. 24 points.
There you go.
I mean, one. And by the way, the other time was a fumble at the end of the half. So, that was the one time they didn't score because they didn't win the halftime.
Right.
Look, in this game, Haskins doesn't look good. My buddy over there has got an Ohio State on the hat on, and Haskins, I'm worried about him. If you're a fan of the Washington football team, that was not good. But in fairness, the Browns made plays. The Browns did things to get themselves in position to do enough on defense. We're gonna get to that in a second. But the one thing again I liked in past years with this team, how many times inside the 30, getting fancy trick plays, bubble screens, we saw all that. They really kept it simple. On every turnover drive, 3 plays, handing the ball off, 3 plays, hand the ball off, 3 plays, hand the ball off. It's just nice to see. Keep it simple. When you have an advantage, use your talent, use what you have around you, and pound the team. The Browns are becoming one of these teams that I like, and this is a good sign. This is not bullshit. If the Browns have the lead late in the game, it's downhill. It's going to be very, very – I can actually say this now. I've seen it. If the Browns have a lead late, doesn't matter who the team is, the Browns have a huge advantage because I don't know if you're going to be able to slow them down.
Well, that was exactly it. I mean, was that a conversion or a penalty late? I can't remember. That ended up allowing them to basically burn out the clock.
4th and 3, they hopped them off sides.
A beautiful hard count. That's what it was. And that was, boy, that's just sloppy on Washington's part.
Take advantage of
but that's a gimme, and you just burn out the clock from there. What I also noticed about the running game is that even though there was a lot of the struggling to find a hole early, they did recognize later on as the game developed different areas where they could make cuts. Both Chubb and Hunt have eyes everywhere. Their peripherals are insane. They are ready to make a cut and move against the grain and find that hole. And they did that late. They did it late. So
yeah. Here's my one note.
And then you're going from 2 yards to 15 to 20.
Here's my one note, though. Andy Janovich needs to be playing more. anytime he came out of the game, they had a hard time running. Janovich needs to be playing on more running downs. There was a key play with Kareem Hunt on 3rd and 1, and Janovich wasn't in the game. They got stopped. And I saw later in the game, whenever Janovich was not in the game, the running game had a hard time getting going. The Browns need to play Janovich more. They need to. He makes a big difference. When I saw him in the game, Jared, I saw a big difference in the running game. My other little note here, and we kind of teed it up, so I'm going to go full circle now. Great for this defense. Myles Garrett, if he keeps doing that, people aren't going to remember all those times he has to make plays because he's going to be doing so much of these Lawrence Taylor-type plays and winning the game. Now, the defense. Let's get to the other side of this real quick. Tackling is a huge issue. And I know we're 3 games in and it's still new and it's feeling good. This Joe Woods defense doesn't look crisp at all. And I'm actually putting some of this on Stefanski. He needs to put his nose into the defense this week and start turning the shit around, because against Dallas, against Pittsburgh, against the teams that are coming on the horizon, you're not going to be able to get away with this and win games.
Sloppy
this
in the
defense
secondary.
has to.
Getting caught in how many picks, how many natural picks, it was just where you end up with a guy just sitting in wide open field.
Jared, they have no flow. They have no rhythm. Denzel Ward, who was hurt, he's a big difference in this game. He sat out. Yes, the Goodson make a couple plays here and there, sure. Joseph had a pretty good game, sure. But again, like outside of Garrett and Richardson and Ogunjobi, I like Porter Gustin, and said good things about. He didn't do anything in that game. Right. They're still not getting other side help. This Joe Woods touchy-feely, feeling good situation. Reality is the Browns defense has had a hard time stopping anything short in the passing game. Anything. Now, the running game has not done anything. People can read into that. Teams are definitely picking apart the Browns on the short game. But I will just reference this again. This Joe Woods experience so far, for being truthful in the analytics, it's not been good. They can't stop the short pass. And by the way, because they don't tackle well, it's not 1 down and down. No. It's not 3 yards and down. It's 10 yards. That's my only big warning. This defense has to get better. Yeah. I know they made turnovers. I know they made their plays. But again, here's my big SOS. Has to get better. I'm not going to harp on it too much.
Well, we got it. Yeah. Well, the national folks kind of led with the Browns won because of good defense, and I feel like that is just such you didn't watch the game and you just looked at the stat line and called it without seeing actually what happened on the field. Because the bottom line is, Haskins was trying to force things. Haskins made some very terrible looking throws, very bad throws, telegraphed a couple of times that he was they just read those passes and got in front of the receiver. And that was all on Haskins. It really was. Now, just to go ahead and mention this, because I know you're talking about being worried about Haskins, we got to say this too. The Redskins haven't really done much for Haskins. They haven't put anyone around Haskins. They don't. So
no running game.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, no running game, and you're forcing the kid. Look, maybe it worked, maybe it doesn't. But
not our problem.
As a Brown, no, not our problem. But very reminiscent of problems that we see and that we could be seeing right now, even with Baker.
Okay, great time, great transition. Now, Mayfield, boys, this has been a hot topic, and even us were talking about it during the game. So I've kind of come more full circle than I thought I was going to be coming into this podcast. I really enjoyed Baker's comments after the game. Quote, I could have played way better. I could have done a better job saving us from sacks. I could have done a better job in the first half of keeping the chains moving, end quote. That's from Baker on himself. Stefanski on Baker. Did a nice job. I thought he trusted his eyes. For the most part, the ball went where it was supposed to go. There's a couple sacks I think we can learn from, and he's doing a nice job operating. Doing a nice job operating. Highlight that word. He's going into what I felt. He's a game manager. He did a nice job operating. Yeah. So are we seeing things where we're seeing Pro Bowl? Absolutely not. Are we seeing things where we're getting excited and we saw the NFL 100 commercial after Super Bowl in 2018? No. Am I seeing things, though, where a person recognizes he has room to grow, that he's not cocky, that he's staying in the moment and being real? I am. Yes. Yeah. This is the hope. I mean this. Am I realistic about Baker? More than probably most. But I will give him credit. He talks like a guy who realizes he has to do things better, Jared. And I like that. I do appreciate that. That gives us hope, in my opinion. I mean that. He has to prove it. More games to come. But I'll be fair. Those kind of comments I like hearing after the game. He wasn't celebratory. He was pretty mellow after the game.
So there were some issues there where I wish he would have rolled out quicker when the pocket was collapsing. Usually that would happen after he was holding the ball for too long to begin with. He did have one nice connection when he rolled out down the field. I can't remember who it was to, but it was I think it was a third down conversion at the time, which was things that we like to see out of Baker that we've seen before. Baker looks good when he's under pressure, rolling out and connects with Landry or Odell or someone that's running with him towards the sideline. And I believe it was Odell was wide open. But that was the problem too, is Odell was wide open. It looked like on that route throughout the entire time that Baker didn't even need to roll out. He should have seen him. I still think Baker is struggling to see the field.
Yes, he is.
I feel like he looks skittish in the pocket sometimes. I wish that some of these plays, if they were going to take advantage of play action, rolled him out some more and didn't just leave him in the pocket. Although he's got to get more comfortable in the pocket. He just has to. Especially with as good as that offensive line is, he has to be able to see the field and he has to not hesitate and just make the connection. But I don't know and I don't know how you feel about this. He had some issues with accuracy on a couple of passes, one to Odell and one over the head of, it might've been Hooper, but it was definitely another tight end. And there may have been a few others, but his accuracy, I'm wondering if that is a part of what is causing him to be hesitant and trusting his gut and slinging it. Because other times he does it and you're like, why is this even an issue? It's just not consistent. There's no consistency there with that part of his game at the moment.
He's not there yet. And it's frustrating too when you see Josh Allen putting up the numbers he's putting up there. But let's get back to 6.
You ain't kidding.
I mean, the OBJ throw, big third down play, was a huge play. The ball he threw to Landry in the second quarter, big throw. Got the first down. You know what? The throw wasn't hard, but he made the throw to Hooper to get the first down on fourth down. That was a big play. He makes throws in big spots that give you confidence. Is he struggling still in the pocket? Absolutely. Is he consistent? Nope. Is he bad? I don't think he's bad. Do I think he's improving? I do, in slow little bites. It almost reminds me of Jose Ramirez in Nevada at times, where it's like, I'm seeing little things. I'm actually taking a different stance on Baker today. Here's my thing. Give this a chance. Yeah. I don't think this season's done yet. I don't think it's time to declare anything. But if people are waiting for Baker Mayfield to arrive in a Superman costume, well, I don't think that's going to happen either.
Not right
now.
I
just don't think. And by the way, this team's not built for that. This team is built for that Superman cape to go to 24. The best player in the Browns is 24. And the second best player in the Browns is Hunt. And it's Chubb and Hunt. It's just that simple.
And Andy, we can talk about this. We talked about him being a game manager. We can talk about him developing into a good system quarterback, because there is a system here that he can rely on, becoming a good system quarterback, which then will allow him to flourish. I also don't think it's fair to use second half stats against him. And I think that I saw, and this, I'm not nitpicking Grossi. It's just something that I thought of when I was going through, because I think that he had just thrown up their second half stats for Baker over the past 2 games. And they're not that great, right? 1 touchdown in the second half throughout both of those games. And, I don't think that's fair to use those stats against Baker, because when this team gets to the second half of those games, when they are winning, Baker is not going to have a chance to look good, because he doesn't need to look good. He needs to hand the ball off, kill the clock, ground and pound, continue to wear down that defense, and score touchdowns that way. That is what is that will be this team throughout the entire season. So don't use the second half and say, well, Baker's not showing up in the second half. Don't use that as an example against him, because it is just not needed currently with this team. If we want to see Baker and we want to see him stand out, seeing him flourish in the first half, I think would be a better way of evaluating. And I still haven't really seen much that makes me feel overly pessimistic about him in that sense either, because he has taken care of the ball for the most part, and that's really all we need right now.
The biggest thing that I want to see with Baker is he playing much better in week 13. Is he playing much better in these spots in there?
Right.
In the second half, in the fourth quarter in these games, if the Browns have the lead, it's going to become the wishbone. It's going to become insert your offense from the 80s in college football. They're going to run the ball. and they need to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
This is this team's strength. Their offensive line, for everyone who complained about the offensive line this year, Wyatt Tiller might make the Pro Bowl. Joel Bitonio, you can't even hear his name because you hear about everybody else playing so well. JC, like this offensive line.
But Bitonio is like the bedrock of that.
I mean, he really is. And again, and Janovich, the way he's playing, I think he needs to be playing more. So all this to be said, it's a run first game. I think it's more in the middle, and people don't like the middle anymore as opinions. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's terrible. I think he's okay. He's a nice job of operating. I like that term from Stefanski. That's not my words. That's a head coach, game manager. That's what he is right now. In spots down the road, will he need to make throws in big moments? Absolutely. And that's when we'll judge. But right now, it's not fair to do that because he has made a few
of those now, too. He's converting the third down passes when needed on a lot.
That OBJ throw was big. That OBJ throw was huge, and he zipped it in there. Landry, to get that team moving, he got that. He got that first down. He still makes more plays.
He's still Baker.
Look, he's not. Here's the problem. And I don't know how to put the genie back in the bottle. 2018 was so exciting. In 2018, we saw many cool things that we thought, oh my God, he's on his way to be the next Tom Brady. And he's not. And he's kind of more here. And it's been more start and stop. It's never fluid. His game's not clean. All that to be said, I see improvement. Like, here's my biggest difference too. Is he better than 2019 Baker? Yes.
Cool.
Is it light years? No. Am I seeing him making the Pro Bowl?
And it doesn't need to be right now.
It doesn't have to be.
That's not his job right now.
Yes.
That's not what Stefanski wants from him right now.
No.
He is finally getting the tutelage that he needed 2 years ago that he's getting now.
Yeah.
So that's one. And two, we would probably worry a lot less about this and stop focusing so much on the development of Baker Mayfield after being run through the ringer with 4 different head coaches, technically, over the past 3 seasons, if we actually sat here and thought about the fact that if this defense was able to do their job, that would take so much more of we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
The only thing
if the defense
about
didn't allow points, then we wouldn't have to worry about it.
I agree.
They are, but they're a sieve right now.
There are 2 or 3 things that we all know there's things to work on, right? The defense and tackling and short passing game is atrocious. It's bad. And again, it's one thing to get 3 or 4 yards and go down. These wide receivers get 3 or 4 to get to 13, 14. It just, the tackling, it's just throw a rock in any possession this year and you can find these examples. It isn't like it's not in one place or the other. Here's the other thing though, that I don't want to harp on, but it's just another circle this. The Browns still go a lot of 3 and outs. They still have a lot of moments where they get in these funks. We saw in the third quarter, 3 and out. They still have a lot of those. Those need to get evaporated over time. In fairness, though, that's not an ununique problem, so it's fair. But the offense is getting more into a groove. I don't want to overhype on this as the Browns won, and it was so great to see them win. But my last little thing, again, I want to see Stefanski work with Joe Woods this week and start improving the tackling, start improving some things on defense. You can't keep going throughout the season like this. You can't do it. You just can't. I'm just telling you. I'm just seeing. I am very, very worried. We'll get to it on Friday about the Cowboys. I think that is I just think that's going to really – I think that run defense and I think that short passing game is going to get very much tested. Now, Odell Beckham Jr., I thought he played wonderfully in this game. Everybody's talked about it a lot, and it should be hyped. I just really, really thought that was the first time in my Browns watching this team that I saw OBJ's presence felt throughout the game, even when he wasn't catching the ball. And I can't explain that. You could just feel his presence in that game. He was into that game. He was making good plays. That knockdown on that possible interception was a great play by him. Huge play by him. And when he had to make a catch, he made the play. If Odell Beckham Jr. plays like that, watch out. Watch out.
Let's talk about this too. I want to kind of break down that knockdown. He was probably a foot and a half. Baker terribly underthrew the pass.
Terrible throw. In the middle.
And Odell would have been you could have considered him wide open at that point. He had about a 3-foot break. Yeah. It felt like, at least. Maybe I'm exaggerating that. But Odell did not quit on that. Odell's attitude was to use everything he could to stop leap, knock that ball down, and instead of shaking his head in frustration because the pass was errant, he was fired up saying, to hell with that. You ain't doing that here. We ain't allowing that. And he was excited about being able to break that up. That is what I want. That is the stuff that makes me love Odell and know that he does give a shit, that he does want to be here, and that his frustrations didn't come out in that negative way that we have seen in the past. He was excited to be able to knock that down and give the Browns another chance, period.
Beckham Jr., if he plays like this, watch out.
Yeah.
It gets you now it's a reality. This is why I have big hope for this team. When I started seeing that throughout the game, I'm like, oh my gosh, if they can get Odell Beckham Jr. start believing in this team, folks, you watch out.
Yeah.
Because he is one of the ones who's been doubting this team the whole time. He's starting to believe in this. It's getting it. I will say it's tempered. It's only 2-1. All that's fair. There is some real excitement here. This running game is suffocating. It reminds me of the Kansas City Royals in a relief pitching in 15. Once the lead is there, get the fuck out of the way. Hand it off to Hunt, hand it off to Chubb, Janovich block. Good night. See you. I mean, it's almost become now. They'll get tested, but again, in fairness, forget the Bengals. They stink. The Washington defense, though, even without Chase Young, is very good. And they could not stop it. Their minds were broken late. Rivera's mind was broken late. Now, again, they're not a good team. We get that. But this is not a half-ass defense. This is exciting. This is why it's good to be excited. Don't get caught up in that Mayfield discussion too much. Get more caught up into OBJ and how he played. Because even then, he didn't play big with his numbers, but his presence and his attitude and his hustle and his care says a lot about what's going on right now on this team. It is starting to become a little bit infectious after 2 games. Yeah. It's good. It's good to see it. You can't fight it right now. No. Now they're about ready to go on this long trip. You start playing the big boys, Dallas, Indy, Pittsburgh. These are teams that are going to play for the playoffs. Big games. Let's see. It's exciting.
I'll remind folks that I'm only expecting 3 wins out of the first 8 games this season. I'm expecting them to go 3-8, and that's whether they steal one with Pittsburgh or whether they beat Cincinnati again, which I believe they play them again within that first 8 games, right?
They do.
Hopefully 3 wins, possibly a 4-4 if we can really steal that Pittsburgh game. So do not get overly defeated, because it's that back end of the schedule where I'm finding the 5 and 6 wins that will get them to that 9 and 7, that 10 and 6 area that we're hoping for to get to the playoffs. But again, it's going to take defense. And like I said, and now that it's in my head, I really do think that if this defense, if they can find a way to improve, that will be a big part of taking more of this pressure off of Baker Mayfield, at least from the standpoint of those who talk about these games.
I'm glad the defense is opportunistic. That was good to see. They didn't drop those interceptions. They caught them. Yeah. By the way, thank God we recovered.
Oh, the recovery after the second. I know.
Big play. Now, I want to go down the Stefanski route real quick before we start moving forward here.
Yep.
The one thing that I'm noticing, which I'm going to say right now is fine, but I grit my teeth, but I liked it in this game. I didn't like in the Bengal game. They are aggressively going for 4th down. There was a big 4th and 7 early in the game. Hooper made it. He barely got over, but that was a big play, and that got him a field goal. That was the right call. It was a nerve-wracking call, but I thought that was the right call there. And then you alluded to it, the 4th and 3, getting the football team to jump off sides was huge. That really broke Washington's back. This team is really aggressive on 4th down. That's one notice. 2, I mentioned it, but I want to say it again. More fullback. I'm telling you, anytime the fullback wasn't in the game, this team did not seem to have a flow. And I think we're good now with empty backfield. I think we're good with that play set. Like we
I can't deal with the empty. I can't deal with it. It shouldn't be. It should not be.
Doesn't
every single play call within the Browns
nightmare
where there is an empty backfield, throw it away. By the way,
Jackson to Kitchens to now Stefanski. It doesn't fucking work. This team built on running games. And by the way, there was a bubble screen that worked too. Sunday. I think it happened. One of them. They did one. It made positive yards. We still need to work on that. But that's okay. But look, it was getting better. Now look, All that to be said, saw some things. Hey, we made field goals and extra points.
I was going to jump.
Shit.
I wanted to highlight their special teams because here's what it is. Just like we want Baker to be a game manager, we need special teams to simply manage those situations. And that starts with, one, kicking it through the end zone and not allowing anyone to run back. That's fine by me. Just do that every time. Yes. Start every team at the 25. Don't try to put it at the 1 so that we can let them run all the way to 35, 40. Okay.
Do you want to
and then the other issue.
Real quickly, I want to interrupt you real quick. By the way, and then get back to your thought. Don't lose it. I didn't realize when you kick out of the end zone, there's now this signal by the referee. And I go, oh shit, we don't know that signal because we never kick it out of the end zone. No, and by the end of the game, my sons and I were laughing like, oh my gosh, we now know what that means. It's the first one. I'm like, oh, they didn't know what the ball is, but it's like, oh, that's a signal that's kicked out of the end zone. We don't have kickers who do that. By the way, has anybody missed Austin Seibert? No.
Nope.
Goodbye.
Markey's making his kicks. That's great. Keep doing that. Here's one of the bad things that happened out of that game. JoJo Natson is injured, tore ACL, I believe, and he's out for the season now. So now Peoples-Jones is going to be possibly forced into a position where he will be running the ball back, and we're going to get to see him a little earlier, I think, than anyone
big draft pick now
planned on. But I'm hoping for big things. And there were times, I got to admit, Natson, he was on the field offensively as well. He looked like a pinball a few times. He got bounced around pretty hard. He really did.
I'm glad you brought this up. JoJo Natson was not for long because he kept running into traffic. Even on the times where he just boing. Like
it was pretty brutal.
I like JoJo's energy and spirit, but if I'm being truthful, I really hope he's okay and all that stuff. But JoJo has got to work on running out of traffic. Desmond Howard ran away from that stuff, and that's what his size is. He's got to run away from that. I mean, he's the Ice Cube. He's McNeil. You got to get out of traffic, not run into it. It's a big moment for Peoples-Jones. It's huge. By the way, one other thing that was interesting in this game, healthy scratch was Hollywood Higgins.
My brother and I were talking about that throughout the entire game, wondering where he was, especially because we forgot he had a number change, right? So he wasn't wearing his I don't even remember who he swapped with, but somebody's wearing his number from last year.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And, again, I don't have my notes in front of me.
But as you're thinking about that, I just make a note of it because of this. Because the team's winning, and because from what I see, I don't think, if I'm being truthful, Higgins is something that you need to see on the field. I'm not naive. However, I will say this: Higgins is going to have a role in this team. I think people are making too big in him being a healthy scratch. But again, Peoples-Jones, I've been very high on him. We've heard very good things about him. This is a big moment for this kid because he's going to be returning kicks. And by the way, Dearness Johnson, I think we're good. I don't think that diving fair catch. That was one of the weirdest, and he caught it.
Oh, I messaged you. I said that looked like any time that any coach got it in his brain that he can take me off of first base and throw me into the outfield. That was me diving for fly balls.
Yeah.
I can't judge whether that's at.
Dearness Johnson is
Leave me off of first base. Leave me at first base. I'll dig them out. Don't put me in the outfield.
No, it's
terrible idea.
No, not good. We'll get to the Cowboys on Friday. Before that, here's the 4 questions for today. Can the Browns keep winning, running the ball with 50% a game? Can they keep that up, plus 50% a game running the ball? I'll go first. I think the answer is yes. 60 is alarming, and it's good for this team. They need to be. But I think, Jared, it's going to be more 40-60, 40 passing, 60 running. I really believe that on this team.
Well, you're getting the extra 10%, 15% because once they have the lead, they're going to do that at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Right. So you're just going to protect the ball. You're going to ground and pound, and that's what you're going to do. Can they keep winning if they do it that way? Absolutely. And in fact, I think it's the only way that they can win.
That's my point. I think the Browns in this running thing, I don't think it's ever going to get 30-70. No. But do I think it's going to stay 40-60? I kind of do. Yeah.
Fine.
How much have the Browns improved from game 1 to game 3? I'll let you lead off.
It's a decent amount, but a lot of that just came from play calling and execution, really. It was those simple adjustments. They did not. I know that Stefanski came out after the first game and said that they had a game plan and that they had to deviate. But no, I'm going to tell you right now, the game, the way that game was called against the Ravens was just atrocious.
Good show.
But we are going to have to see, though, going up against Dallas, going up, against some of these other offenses that can move the ball, is this Browns defense just kind of bad, or are they really bad? And we're going to find that out. And that just might be the situation we find ourselves in. So
here's the one thing I'm going to start harping on. This team makes small improvements, and that's actually what you want to see. You don't want to see the roller coaster ride. One game great, one game bad. One game great, one game bad. It is steady chugging, and that actually is a good sign. I actually have a lot more hope because I see small improvements. Have they improved greatly from game 1 to game 3? Sure, in certain areas. In other areas we just mentioned, there's some areas they need to grow and improve. But that's what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be small increments to get better. That's why people ready to throw Baker off a bridge. Relax. Bring him back. Don't let him hang off the bridge. Pull that bungee cord back, baby. Everything's okay.
Everything's
Relax.
okay. Yeah.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Just remember, small improvements is what you want in a season. You don't want the roller coaster. You don't want this.
Let's acknowledge this too. This team seems pretty fucking disciplined right now.
This team talks like a team that has eaten candy bars from Foxborough. One game at a time. We are 1-0 this week, and it is great. Because this was a true challenge. Forget.
They've got a mantra. They have a mantra.
Because let's be fair, Mayfield after wins last year, it felt like we won a playoff game. If you listen to him talk after a game, it is completely different, and it's a good sign. It's a good sign. Are the Browns becoming a good team? Or are they taking advantage of beating bad clubs? Okay, so here's my whole thing about this, because I've been hearing this today. Are they just taking advantage of bad teams? Yes, they are. Are they becoming a good team? Yes, I think it's both. People can't get mad at the Browns for beating bad teams. In the past, we would lose to these teams. So I like that. And it means they are becoming a good team. I've heard too much comparison today on talk radio. Oh, they're beating bad teams. No. I think they are becoming a good team, and that's because they're beating bad teams. Well, that's what you want to do.
Step 1 to becoming a good team: win the games you.
Yes, win the games you're supposed to win.
And step 2 is keep it close with the teams that have a lot of quality talent and that can play the game, right? And then step 3 will be take some of those games. You're not going to win them all, but take a few of them.
Take them.
If you can do that, then you're on the right path. But step 1, we haven't even been able to get to step 1.
No, because let's be fair. How many times in the past with Washington? Hey, by the way, they were up in that game, 2017.
Oh, they would have dogged it out, got their asses kicked.
Oh, by the way, air raid, start throwing the ball, getting frustrated, Baker. But no, they didn't. I'm seeing improvements on this team. And again, people can say whatever they want, and Haskins did play badly. But you know what? They took advantage of it. They caught those balls. They made those plays. That's what good teams are supposed to do. And again, this is my fourth question, the future of Baker. Let's ask this question in 10 more games. He's going to have to make some plays in some games. He has not done that yet because the Ravens game was a blowout, so it didn't matter. But he's going to have to make throws in games. We all know that. What happens that time? But I'm telling you, I'm starting to see the light a little bit on this after today and listening to post-game press conferences. If he keeps talking like that, and he keeps wanting to make small improvements, I think there's a chance here. I'm telling you. I don't think it's crazy. It doesn't mean he's going to be Aaron Rodgers or Brady, but I think he's going to be better than Trubisky, better in some other things. And by the way, it sometimes takes time in this league. I just think it means more of a chance. I'm actually there now.
Oh, yeah.
Winning
it
helps.
Takes more than time. It takes coaching.
Yes.
And he needed coaching, period.
Yes.
Flat out. He was flailing. He ran in here like he came in dragging Oklahoma with him. Right.
Wow, great line. Great line.
Like that's who he was. That is who he was.
Woo! I like that line. That was good.
And that's just it ain't gonna work. Not in the NFL.
No.
Welcome to the NFL.
No, we'll do the big preview in the Cowboys, who they had another tough loss. That game, I guess the teed up. We'll get into the X's and O's of it on Friday, but real quickly, This is a great litmus test for this team because on paper, in the sharps in Vegas, I don't even look at the line. I'm sure Dallas is favored. I mean, you don't even have to look. this is a game the Browns.
Probably a 7. It's probably a
7. Yeah, 6 or 7, right? So it's one of those kind of games where it's like, if you really think about it, this is the Browns game. They lose by 10. Something weird happens. Fumbleitis. Baker throws 4 picks, and by the way, they do that, then we have that show. But in my opinion, I think this is a good chance for this team to show their growth. And I'm telling you, it's not just bullshit. This running game, if the Browns have the lead late, I'm telling you, it's not overrated. It's suffocating. You throw Janovich in there to block. I don't know if teams are going to stop this, Jared. I don't think they are. I don't think they are.
Yeah, I don't know what you do because you can talk about having a good run defense, which I got to be honest, right? That's what this Washington team was there for. I mean,
Yep.
Every single guy on that line was drafted in the first round over the past 5 years, whatever. So
That's an all-star.
you
line.
are, and they just
Pushed them around.
It took time. But you're talking about, again, I didn't look at the numbers yet, but you were talking about the number 3 offensive line in the league with the Browns, and what is just you're gonna have, and this was something we talked about before. The fact that you're going to have fresh legs out of Kareem Hunt coming into your fourth quarter, boy, it is just not fair. It is not fair for these teams.
What was your favorite Nick Chubb run? Running over that guy and stepping on his back? You can't even fucking pick him out anymore. It happens every fucking game. By the way, real quickly, how fucking sick was that Garrett play where he just sacked? He sacked Haskins. You know what? I'm going to take the fucking ball too.
Haskins kind of kicked that up to him. Whoop, here you go.
I'm good. I can't get this.
2 games in a row. 2 games in a row. Garrett just ended the game. Just being the one and shut it down. No, this is my ball. Game over. We're done.
He is
taking my ball home.
For everything in a running game, Garrett and those 2 plays has earned his paycheck. And that's what you want. That's what you want. It was great to see. It is fun late in these games. Again, I got to repeat it. It is getting fun late in the games because it's almost like you have Jose Mesa 95. It's almost like you have that, like, there we go. Yep. Boop, 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 boop. Just run the ball. And it's great. And what's even best, teams know what's coming. They can't fucking stop it.
Can't do it.
Rivera's face, that poor guy. And by the way, I hope he's doing healthy and all the best to him. I know he's fighting cancer, but that poor guy in the sideline doing this, shoulders, fist underneath armpits, just saying, I used to play for the motherfucking Bears. I can't stop this motherfucking run game. I can't do anything. I don't have anything to stop us. You know what? I'm not even going to call my timeouts. This is when the ball get the fuck out of Cleveland. Which,
by the way, did he forget that he had timeouts? That was a little weird.
No, Jared, that was that look. We're getting the fuck out of Cleveland. I've had enough. I don't want to watch this team run the ball anymore.
Yeah.
And by the way, Haskins couldn't make plays anyway. So Dallas, big testing game. Not a big game for the season, but a big tester. Big tester. So
yeah, I just hope it's not ugly, right? You just hope it's not ugly like that Ravens game. You just hope that there's some competition there, that it
We'll get into it more in a week.
It's not going to be Packers Saints, but nonetheless.
Wow. The big opportunity. Now, if I'm being fair, and I love the Browns win, I quickly flipped into baseball mode. Let's get into the Indians and Yankees.
Cleveland Indians.
I am getting goosebumps. If people can't see it visually, I love this. People have a mismemory about the Indians and Yankees. They're very even in the playoffs. 97, the Indians won. 98, the Yankees won. 2007, the Indians won. 2017, the Yankees came back and won. These 2 teams play very good competitive baseball in the playoffs. It's usually nail-biting. It's usually exciting. It's usually tight. And it's going to be great. It's going to suck not having the crowds in Cleveland. It's going to suck not having them. I can't stand them. The crowds in the Bronx. But this is a fun series. And everybody, before we get into this whole thing, and we're going to break it all down, no, don't. If you like reading positive articles about the Indians, don't fucking read anything. Because everybody thinks we're going to lose. Everybody. Jeff Passan, I think Bieber's going to give up a lot of runs in the game. Don't read that. I love Jeff Passan. Love it. I think he's very funny. But I think that was funny. Like, there's nothing here. I mean, if you're waiting for like, we possibly have this, we have the Cy Young, or we got the MVP and Ramirez. Hey, all that, no one gives a fuck. Everybody. Now we're going to get into this, but let's just bring this out. Everybody thinks the Yankees are going to win. Everybody. You can read it. You can see it in headlines. When MLB broke it down, They basically said the Indians have a slight advantage with pitching. They have a slight advantage at third base, and they have an advantage in relief pitching. Every other spot, they think they're really dead in the water. It's interesting.
Oddly enough, the Indians, I mean, we've talked about this. The Indians have been able to, historically, they can get at Chapman. So they can, that's something.
And Chapman's velocity is down. Zach Britton has a bad hamstring. And yes, it's Tanaka. Yeah, look, Garrett, by the way, if we were not fans of the Indians, Bieber and Garrett Cole is a fantastic game one. I mean, very, 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 very big game one. Bieber is our guy. He's the Cy Young. He might be AL MVP. He won the Triple Crown, 8 wins, 1.63 ERA, 122 Ks. I mean, folks, I mean, you want to talk about a shoe on. This is your biggest shoe on. The biggest thing, though, that I liked at ESPN.com today is they did break it down nicely, and a lot of this is reference to their article in the MLB.com article. But one of the nice things, Jared, that I saw that I loved in there, and they said, it's like, for everybody who gets on all these different things about the pitching, and yes, the pitching and the arms are everything, the Indians catching this year has been lights out. No pass balls. 0 in 60 games. And the Indians, and Bieber throws a lot of balls on the ground. It's amazing. So,
well, these are the things. These are the things then. I mean, we know this in this series. Can the Indians steal a couple of runs? Hopefully, right? They're going to need to.
Smart baseball.
Can the Indians play small ball? Well,
yes.
It started out like they didn't really want to play small ball throughout the season, but then a couple of guys actually like doing it, laying down the bunt. The Shields is the leader on that, right?
Yeah.
And can they get hot? Like, do they have actual hitting, even though they didn't demonstrate it through the season? And I would argue, absolutely. This team can get hot. This team can hit home runs. This team can score points. The problem this season has just been they've been kind of, I don't know, dead in the water a lot of nights. And it's been pretty frustrating because the only thing you can do at that point is celebrate good pitching until they lose 2-1, which drives you up a wall. But the Indians have finished this season, 7 out of 8, I believe?
Yeah.
Seven out of 8.
Very, very hot. And by the way, exciting wins. Games where they're dead in the water. They were dead in the water against Pittsburgh on Sunday, came back and won. They've had so many good wins.
And what does that tell you when the team learns, we can win late? We can decide to do something in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning to turn it around. It's good. I think from what I remember, a good 25 years ago, there was a team that used to do that on a regular basis. Yeah. That thrived in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
Oh, so brought it on.
Let's go ahead and calm on the Pinstripes winning this one easily. Especially, again, there might not be fans in the stadium, but playing in Cleveland, if you doubt for 1 minute that means anything, I'm telling you it does. I'm telling you, it will make a difference for that team. That
short porch in the Bronx is mind-numbing. I hate that park.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I never liked it either. It looks so phony. Like it was. I've been on the field there. I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan. And look, do I like the nostalgia and the history of Fenway and the history of Yankee Stadium? Yes, but that short porch and that big fucking dumb green wall. I don't like that stuff. It's a good advantage actually. Now, I don't think the Indians automatically lose if Bieber loses. However, Bieber in this start's big. You can't say it's small. It's everything in a way because it's only a 3-game series in this wild card series round. Cole is very good. We all know that. Yeah. So this starts.
Offensively, they owe it to Bieber at this point, and they need to go into there with that mentality. We owe it to Bieber, who could have had, I would say, 11 wins had he had an offense behind him for these games, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's true.
He's still going to win the Cy Young, but imagine he had a couple more wins there.
Look, JRAM is the heart and soul. He by the way, for Fangraph, he did a wonderful job with this. Bieber and Jose Ramirez by far lead in WAR. Okay, no one even finished at 2.8. Bieber and Ramirez 3.4, 3.2. JRAM's big in the series. To what Jared alluded to, forgetting the obvious of Bieber, we know it's a big star. Blah blah blah. We can go down the boring road, but here's the interesting things to me. Reyes is big in the series. The Indians actually need him to play well. He's the one guy I would say who's the unspoken character. I'd say it's Reyes. Reyes really does need to have a big series. He doesn't have to hit over 300. just in the big moments, in the big spots, hit the ball hard and get it out.
Yeah.
He's
be
the
as,
one.
Be as scary and intimidating as you look. Make it,
yes.
Put it all together.
Yeah. Everything and more. Reyes is, to me, the biggest guy outside of the JRAM. The captain obvious is. Reyes, to me, is a real key cog. When he plays well, this team does well. Look, this is still the Bronx Bombers. Luke Voigt led the major leagues in home runs. DJ LeMahieu led the MLB in average, and we haven't mentioned Stanton, Sanchez, or Judge. So this team's got a lot of power and a lot of stuff. However, Stanton, Judge, and Sanchez have been up and down almost all year. They're not established as they once used to be. Gary Sanchez is having a nightmare year. Nightmare. He can't, for everything we just talked about, and that's why I brought it up with Perez or Hedges or even Sandy Leon. Sanchez has a hard time catching big games, and I will mark it down. I guarantee you Sanchez has a shitball moment in one of these games. He always does. Always does with a glove. Always in these spots.
Let's not take out the importance of the fact that the Yankees weren't really facing these Indians pitchers all season either. So it's not like they were tuned up with them.
The Central's up this year. I know where you're getting at. The Central is up. This isn't one of those years where it's been like the Indians and a bunch of dogs. I mean, the Twins are very good. The White Sox are very good. There's no Red Sox. This isn't the same old stuff. And by the way, the Yankees finished second too. Why? They weren't consistent. Their bullpen is still a strength, but it isn't what it used to be. My partner just referenced it. Yeah. Chapman's ERA is over 3. You can hit him this year. His velocity's not the same. Zach Britton, yes, he's good, but he's got a sore hamstring. It isn't like they used to have guys who can go to 2 or 3 innings. Chapman and Britton can't go more than 2, one apiece. It isn't the same. They actually have moments here. You can get to this team. It isn't impossible. Don't get down on this. If you want to look into the nostalgia and get into the numbers, hey, the Yankees hitters are far better. And there's no question. And the stats say that. I mean, the Indians finished 26th in hitting. Okay. It's pure. I mean, blah, blah, blah.
Which is why grinding out a 2-1 win over the Yankees in game 1 would be the best way to really, and not winning not winning decisively, but winning in fashion of just wearing them down and just scoring enough. The Indians have done that. The Indians have the pitching to do that. And really, it's come down to 3 or more runs a game, I believe, is the average. If they score 3 or more runs, they're good. Will that be the case with this Yankees team who can hit the ball? I don't know. But again, like I said, it's not like they were facing the starting lineup this season. So the Yankees really are coming in cold against one of the best pitching staffs, if not the best starting pitching staff in the league, period. You got
to feel good about the Indians starting pitching. And to be fair, even though he's not sexy, Brad Hand's had a good year. I want to be fair to that guy. He's had a good bounce back year, and we doubted him more than anybody else. And he had a really nice bounce back year. Whitgren is Whitgren. He's becoming the new Brian Shaw of this team. You know what he's going to get. He's going to have 1 every 5 starts where it's not the best. But Whitgren, Boilermaker, usually 4 out of 5 times is pretty solid. And we all know it. Karinchak. He's got the Wild Thing haircut, which I like. And you know what? They actually Oliver Perez, who's been in these moments, is a good guy. Wouldn't rely on him a ton, but Oliver Perez can snake his way through an inning too. They have things in there. The bullpens, would you be easily one-sided Yankees? I agree with the experts. It's actually more weighted to the Indians. In the starting pitching, if you don't like Bieber, Carrasco, Plesac, I don't know what else you want. And it's only 3 games. So you don't have to worry about Savali, which we'll get to in a second. But like right now, this team has the chops. You have the Cy Young. You have to be feeling good about what's coming ahead here. Don't let these things, and now we're burying 1 lead. Lindor in the past has had big hits and big home runs. People forget in game 2, he had that monster home run where the stadium shook in the sea of red in the outfield. If Lindor can have 1 or 2 of those moments again, and by the way, in big spots this year, he's gotten big home runs.
Yeah.
Now, men on base, and I know that his average has been shitty, but in the 9th inning, Lindor has gotten big hits. And I think people have forgotten that. He got a huge hit this week in the 9th inning. I think people get too into the numbers. Lindor's had a much better year in big spots than people want to give him credit for. If he can continue to do that, if he can hit one of those home runs, yes, dog, right off the foul pole fence, it is a big thing, and this team can do it. Now, all that to be said, let's get to the other side of this. Naquin, who we love at times, has lost his glove. Is now ranked one of the worst gloves in the outfield. I love his shields and his bunting. Josh Naylor is very young. This outfield, It is the one thing in this series, the Yankees outfield compared to the Indians outfield. It's not even Jared. It's just so that Santana and Luke Voigt. Yeah, Luke Voigt's having a career year, but Santana's a pro. I can get over that first base matchup. But the outfields, I will say that's the only thing. The Yankees outfield is far superior to the Indians. Far superior defensively and hitting.
It's such a bummer because we really thought coming into the season that we would have figured it out. And then throughout the season, we thought we made the tweaks to then refigure it out. And it just hasn't been the case with the outfield, Andy. That is something for the future of this team that they're going to have to get together and figure out, obviously. But then again, here we are in the postseason. Here we are ready to make a run. Something we haven't talked about yet, Andy, something that is off the field. Terry Francona, Tito will not be with the team in this postseason. Tito is still recovering from some of the issues that he had been dealing with gastrointestinal stuff. I don't know any further details because not much of that has been talked about. Earlier, we thought that he was entering the bubble and so that he can prepare to join the team. And then all of a sudden, Mandy Bell had tweeted out that just wasn't going to be the case, that he was not going to be with the team in the postseason. I don't know how that impacts this team. I don't know how that impacts the future of the team. I know that my mom's wiener dogs drive me up a wall and I want to throw them through the window.
He's so excited about the playoffs. I sometimes I bark when I'm excited. So I understand.
But Andy, all you can say is you just hope that Coach Francona is okay. And that he's healing up and that he will be ready for next season. And Sandy, it's on you, brother. Let's
Big
go.
moment for Sandy. By the way, we've talked. Okay. This is more than just this year. Sandy has a chance to, when the moment is right with this playoff run, to actually get the torch passed. And in fact, I think it's already happening. If I'm being honest, the way the Indians are talking, the way this has been presented in the last few weeks, the Indians are grooming, and when the time is right, whenever that moment is, I think your next manager of the Cleveland Indians is Sandy.
Well, and in a way, I'm glad that Tito's taking the time to worry about his health and himself, and not forcing himself to be there. Right? That's usually the story that the sports reporters love to hear about. Oh, he's out there, even though he's still, he's got, he's out there grinning and bearing it. I don't need you to do that. I don't need you to be Coach Meyer on the sidelines with the head, pounding, or with whether old Joe Pa, trying to come down on the field, or
Coach K collapsing on the sideline because his back is so stressed out. I mean,
take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. That's what I care about, and I'm glad that Tito is doing that.
And by the way, there's not enough mail-offs to get through a Yankee series for Tito. To be fair to him, coming into this, going, "Hey, you're going to manage against the Yankees. Bye." Like, that's not.
Yeah, you haven't been here for 30 games. Now, let's jump you into this.
Is this tricky? Why am I getting weird looks? I mean, look, it's all those kind of things. You thought you had blood clots. Woo! Don't look at that outfield matchup. All that to be said, though, I do think this was the right move. We don't know too much, but if there's any shakiness, getting into a series, let alone against the Yankees in the playoffs, is not the time to be doing it. Sandy is ready. This team in the last 10 games has proven a lot. If you don't believe in Sandy Alomar by now, you're never going to believe in him, to be honest. So I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to everybody else. Honestly, you're never going to believe in it. I have throughout the season, just like I said from Baker Mayfield, I have seen slow growth from Mr. Alomar. I've seen, is he perfect? Absolutely not.
Right.
Does he do some things? Sure. But that, by the way, in baseball by far compared to any other sport, we can nickel and dime things, even with Francona, all day long. And it's going to happen in this series. So don't jump off a bridge. And it's okay. We all have moments where we're saying, I would have done that. That's why baseball's great. It's easier to be the most armchair coach. It is the most, by far, easy armchair coach. You take him in, you pitch it. It's all that kind of stuff. It isn't like you're saying, we're doing a toss sweep and then we're going to roll the quarter. No. All we're saying here is taking players in and out. So sometimes it's easiest to be armchair manager than any sport. But Sandy's ready, in my opinion. And by the way, he's been groomed. This isn't a new dude. He's our boy from 97. He gets the pressure of the series. I'm excited for Sandy. I'm excited now.
Yeah, I want to say this too. If they don't pull off this series, I will just be very happy that I was able to watch a season run and that this team competed throughout the entire year, and that they are still in a position to be solid next year. Andy, I don't think I can have any complaints. Could I sit here and bitch about the outfielder that the offense wasn't as consistent as I would like? Sure. But you know what? We kind of knew that these were going to be some of the issues that this team was going to deal with. It's out of our hands, and let's hope that they find a way to improve next year. It's funny that in the same breath that I say that I can say this team has a real chance to make a run and win it all, period.
Okay, so Jared is a much more bigger man than I am. I hate the Yankees. I really, really want to win this shit. I know, and it's all good. He's so right. Jared's so right, but I'm so wrong. I want to beat the Yankees. This team is ready for it. We have an all-star Cy Young Award winner, possibly MVP, possible MVP. They led the war. Figure this shit out. I want to win this series. I really, really want to win this series. Bad. I love playing the Yankees. I love stepping on them. I love talking about their 26 championships and beating the fuck out of them. I like it. I want this so badly. All what Jared said is fair. All of it's very good. But I want to beat the Bronx Stinkers. I want to take them. I want to watch Sanchez have balls. I want to see Gary Sanchez have a ball, pass him by, and have JRAM with his helmet off come and slide over Faith and slide over home plate with his hands in the air saying, "We just won the American League World Series." Then after that, I'm more into Jared Watson playing. I have to admit, I really want to beat the Yankees.
So beating the Yankees is enough. That's your World Series.
No, until the next round. But right now, yes.
But I gotcha.
But I'm thirsting for it. I'm thirsting for it. Does it annoy you? Okay, two things in prediction time. Mm-hmm. Does it annoy you that Gio Urshela, who I actually liked, is having a very good career in New York? It annoys me. He's playing really well for the Yankees. He's having another good season for the Yanks, too. It annoys me. I find it bothersome.
No.
Urshela's playing really well for them.
No, I can't. I just don't.
I know. The other one, too, for the next round, not for this round, Mandy Bell wrote this, and it caught my eye, and I thought the same thing. Savali was visibly shaken after his career-high 8-run performance against the Pirates on Saturday. He knows they'll have to lean on his teammates and coaching staff to move past that outing and focus on improving for whenever his next trip on the rubber will be. You know, she wrote some interesting things, but that was one that caught my eye. And it's not for this series. It's only 3 games, but Savali is something I felt that way too. I watched that game, and I was like, man, he is just looking bad. Doesn't look confident. Really getting the crap kicked out of him. I hope we need him. If they win, the Indians need him to play well in these next series coming up if they get by the Yanks. So it's something down the road. Not for today.
This is where I look at that roster, at that pitching staff, and where I smile a little bit, because I know that in a situation like this, it is better to have Savali surrounded by Carrasco and Bieber and the guys that are there than to have to deal with Clevenger and other head cases that don't seem to have that same mental makeup. Yep. That is what you need to be that next level pitcher. So having those right mindsets around him that will help pick him up is the way to go. Otherwise, that's really what it's going to come down to. It's okay. Shit happens.
It does. And I felt
you got to be able to shake it off. You have to.
You have to. My God, in this sport, you have to, because you're going to get the ball. I mean, Savali's going to be pitching if they keep winning. So.
Yeah, you don't have a chance. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And this is where you go back to that NFL mentality. 1-0 every week. That's it.
That's so right.
As a pitcher, you got to go out there, and you can't go out there thinking about, oh boy, I hope I don't do what I did last time. Get the hell out of there. You need to go out there. You need to look. You need to make that connection with your pitcher. You need to focus on hitting the mitt. Period.
Yeah, agreed.
As a former terrible high school pitcher, you can't go out there thinking about the last outing. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to ever walk back out there again.
By the way, for anybody out there, please pull up any YouTube of Jared Watson pitching in high school. We would love to break it down on Cleveland Beyond.
There's probably a VHS somewhere buried in a box, but I don't know where.
By the way, you won't find any stuff for me in playing varsity sports.
You're better off throwing up videos of me hitting the ball. That's where it's at, brother. That's why I got the baseball scholarship, not from the mound.
I wish I could just even sniff scholarship. I can't even spell it. So here's my prediction. I think this series is going 3. I don't think it's game over. Bieber loses, but I think it's big. I'm not naive, but I don't think it's game over. I just want to say that Cole's very good. So don't be surprised. I think the Indians win in 3. I think Plesac's going to have a big moment in game 3. I think the Indians will do enough to win. And I'm telling you, the Sanchez thing behind the plate's a big thing in the series. If the Indians minimize errors, which they've had a bit of an error run in the last 3 weeks, if they can tighten those gloves up, do what they're supposed to do, the starting pitching is better than what the analysts are saying. And I agree with everybody else. I think their bullpen is better. Chapman is not Chapman from years ago. I think the Indians win in 3. I think Plesac has a big game 3, and I think the Indians do enough to get by. I think the pitching wins the day. And I think Britton and Chapman will get hit in moments. I really do.
If the Indians win game 1, they win in 2.
I think you might be right there. I think
they win game 1, they win in 2. And I really do think that they win in 3 if they have to.
Yeah. I don't think it's game over again if Bieber loses. I just want to keep saying that. This is a matchup with Cole. Cole is and he's played in the World Series. He's a very good pitcher. He's a very, very good pitcher.
Yeah, and you're coming out with a survivor mentality if you lose game 1, right? So it's gonna be hard to win in 2. I mean, it is gonna be hard. The only first 2 games are in Cleveland, right? For both of them.
Everything's in Cleveland.
Are all 3? That's how it works.
Everything.
I kept seeing a TBD on the time for the.
Oh yeah, that's for the time.
I didn't look at how they broke down the series.
Yeah, and by the way, this is a huge series nationally. The Indians and Yankees have the 7:00 start. Why? Most highly rated games. All games are on ESPN. One other quick thing too. Remember, this is an historical series. Don't be afraid. The Indians have beaten the Yankees in the past with great Yankee teams. The great Jita. We beat them in 97.
Yep.
We took out Joe Torre in 07.
Yep.
They have a lot of big wins. These are always fun series, and I'm expecting the same. Ask me how much fun I'm having in the bottom of the 9th or top of the 9th watching Brad Hand. I'm not having fun, but I will be there, and I'll be chewing Tums and cheering Brad Hand on. And I can't wait. I just cannot. I'm so excited about the Browns. I'll be honest with you. It will be in the backlight tomorrow night. It's all about these games. Before we wrap up, I am tremendously proud to say I was so excited about the headlines that my partner posted about the women in the NFL with the woman head coach, Callie for the Browns. I forget the other young lady's name for Washington, and then the woman referee. It was a great moment. We need to see more of these in sports. Very, very cool stuff. It's real, Cleveland gets into more of these moments than what people realize, whether it's Larry Doby or moments like that on Sunday. If we're all being truthful, all this stuff and me stomping my feet to beat the Bronx Stinkers is all good. To be fair, the really big stuff is that headline in Cleveland.com, what that kind of stuff, that's the stuff. People were talking the other day is the ownership of the Haslam's, are they really shitty at their bottom 5? To be fair to them, they have done a big job on hiring African-Americans in Hugh Jackson. They hired Callie. Farmer. We can debate all day about wins and losses, but they have been at the forefront of inclusion and diversity. And they have been at the forefront of that. And I want to promote the Haslams for that. They get crapped on a lot and sometimes very fairly. But in this case, they should not be. They do a lot more for opening up opportunities to people who don't have them. Just want to get that out there. I thought that was cool on Sunday. Very, very, very cool on Sunday.
I loved it.
No, it was great. Great job posting it. CFB, Florida's nasty. I'm just going to give it real quick. Then we'll get to LeBron in the Heat, which I think is funny. I do think it's funny. I won't be watching game 1, by the way. We'll be tied up with a little thing in Cleveland on Wednesday night. Florida's very, very good for people who didn't watch. I think Trask is a star in the making. Read and watch the Buddy Martin show. They're our partners. They do a great job of covering the Gators. They will be all over it. Bama's Bama. Clemson's Clemson. But my other big story on there was Mike Leach winning a big game in Baton Rouge. That was a lot of fun to see. And I miss Purdue. I miss Ohio State. I miss Michigan. I can't wait for the Big Ten to start up. But I will say college football felt officially back to me on Saturday.
I didn't watch any college football on Saturday.
That's fine.
The Big Ten is where I'm at. Big Ten. I'm with the Big 10.
That's fine. I'm a true Patriot American. I watch Southeast Conference, Pac-12. I watch it all. By the way, how much fun is the Big 12 having? Oklahoma spitting the bed against Kansas State. How good is that conference? Kansas State can't beat Arkansas State in a big game, but they go down to Norman. They were up. Oklahoma was up 21 points late in the third quarter, and they lost 38-35. Woo! Woo! Are you into LeBron in the finals against the Heat?
I hope he wins it.
I do too.
I do. I really do.
I love how Spoelstra's already getting a little prickly talking about him. I like how I got prickly with Rachel Nichols on the stand. You have to ask that question. Rachel has to ask that question. She has to ask, hey, what do you think about, LeBron? How could you not ask that question? Getting all mad.
You have to.
Getting all mad. By the way, you think Pat Riley and LeBron will be doing fake fist pumps after the game? No.
Probably not.
Boy, you talk about a guy who had some harsh comments leaving town. Riley torched LeBron leaving Miami. I'll be cheering for LeBron, not the Lakers. I'll be cheering for LeBron.
Cheering for LeBron. Yeah, I'm indifferent about the Lakers. You can kind of feel it. The Kobe situation is very much alive with this series.
Good point.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense if and it would be nice. LeBron, after all the talk too about he wouldn't be able to do anything in the West. After all of that. And then, although I'll say this too, Anthony Davis has been a beast.
Playing really well.
Anthony Davis has been where it's at, really. I mean, when we really want to talk about it.
How about that guy with no hair, looking like my haircut, wearing that headband, making plays too? I forget his name, the little point guard for the Lakers. And by the way, I've been there. Just shave it off. It's all good, man. Just shave that stuff off.
We can say the same about LeBron too.
His hair looks better than most, though, balding. Like, he's balding slowly.
Oh, that's because he's paying a lot of money to put some plugs in.
Hey, if I had the money, I'd do the same fucking shit. I don't blame him one bit. I would die to have hair.
Well, with that much money, you can tell that the process still isn't perfected.
Takes time. When you're not used to having hair, it gets annoying to comb it. Yeah, all that stuff.
Wasn't that spray, the GLH or whatever it was?
Oh, my God. Remember those commercials? Is it safe? You'll have hair, though.
Yeah, I know. You're spraying black lead shavings into your head to make your hair look thicker.
I'm growing a tail. It's fine. You have hair.
Well, hey, we are brought to you by Waiting for Next Year. Check them out, Original Cleveland Sports Reporting at waitingfornextyear.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond, and on Twitter at CLE and Beyond, at CLE and Beyond, and on YouTube. Go ahead and find us on YouTube, Cleveland and Beyond, the website, clevelandandbeyond.net or andyandjared.com. And of course, you can shoot us an email, andyandjared@gmail.com. That's JARID, andyandjared@gmail.com. Last thoughts, Andy.
Kaylee Waterhouse is awesome. Just want to make sure she hears that. I'm sure she's listening to the show live.
Yeah, I'm still discombobulated and catching up, and I got class during the Indians game tomorrow until 8:00. I don't know how I'm going to pay any attention, but I have to because I missed. Listen, going on vacation. This is what you do. You go on vacation and you come back and you. I wouldn't say regret, but man, life is just such a pain in the ass when you come back from a place. I've to this point tried to avoid all of my responsibilities, and it is getting to the point where I'm going to regret that even more. So pray for me. No, I don't think I need that. It's awful.
I took one September vacation once, and I felt everything you felt more when I came back. I took a vacation to the Vegas, and I came back from Vegas, and I had never felt more behind. September vacations, I've learned, are wonderful, and they're needed, but they're also deadly because it's such a busy time. It's such a busy time, but they're needed, and you needed it. So you did the right thing. Now, we will be on Friday, and we will be talking about the next matchup, probably against the Rays. I'll just be cocky. We'll preview that. We'll definitely preview the big game on Sunday, 1:00. Browns and Cowboys. Set the Edge will be back, Holly and I, on Wednesday night after the Indians game. We'll be talking Howard Stern. We're big fans of Howard Stern. beginning into that. And I'm going to watch for her. Oh, man, I forget the show. It's going to be such a good show. I forget what we're going to watch. Anyways, I'll watch that show. Everybody got on me for it. I didn't like the show. And then we'll be talking other things. She's great. But, yes, everything's
Schitt's
good.
Creek? Is it Schitt's Creek? It better not be
love
Schitt's Creek. All right.
Schitt's Creek. And we talked about that. That is a great.
Making sure.
show.
I'm finishing up season 5 right now. And listen, all it does is get smarter, more. It just gets it gets really good.
I told Holly, I go, look, if I'm being honest, I think Schitt's Creek, what they did in the Emmys was Cheers, Seinfeld. Like, you're talking that kind of big clean sweep from a comedy. Simpsons. I mean, that's huge.
It was deserved.
Oh, it was very well deserved. I mean, to me, in my sitcom realm, I still think Sopranos is 1. 2 is Mad Men. I got Phil still put 3 Seinfeld. And then 4 Schitt's Creek.
Well, I'm a goofball. Scrubs is still my all-time favorite show.
Scrubs is a great show.
Watched all 9 seasons, even though
And The Office too.
9th season I watched them like 7 times through.
Yeah, my kids love The Office. I should throw it.
The Office is great. Yeah.
Office is a good show. And what did she mention too? Oh man, I can't remember now. Oh, Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's a good show.
Oh yeah. I never got into it, but I'll sit down and watch it.
I'm Curb in The Office. I've never watched a season, but when it's on, I sit and watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun.
He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond.
Pray for Jared.
Prayers for me. Tribe and 2. Browns. Tribe and 2. I don't need the heartburn of 3 days.
He's fine.
Tribe and 2.
Run the ball. I love you, Parky. Keep picking field goals. Extra points.
Baker.
Cyber.
Game
We
manager.
love you. We don't miss you.
Game manager. Don't turn it over.